Greetings, Portland. Greetings, American government and American Police Department. Good afternoon. I came in, today is June the 9th, I believe, 2021, Wednesday, third day of the week. And I'm kind of liking our weather because it feels like it's getting warmer. I came today because I wanted to file a police report. Minor altercation. I was at 24 hours a few minutes ago, and it was fine when I got in. I was kind of startled to see our President Clinton on the television there, and it reminded me of when I was in seminary back in 1996. There was a fellow in the school that was his exact replica. It could have been his own son. The problem is, back then I didn't know how to read. And it was under his administration that I was removed out of Grace Community Church from President MacArthur to out here to deal with President Clinton. President MacArthur from our seminary had an issue with me. The issue was that I didn't know anything about that, and I didn't know that was in the church. I went to school for this, not that. End of my story. In any case, coming out here hasn't been a bowl of cherries, because when I came out here and tried to get back into working and living in an apartment, they had an issue with me. Issue? What issue is this? The issue of that? What are you talking about, man? It's all outlined in here. It's all outlined in here. From Genesis to Revelation. Any issue that you want to address is right here. According to this text here, this was an abomination. What's going on here? We don't need to deal with that abomination. There are consequences that comes with such abominations, right? That's why we have Simtuza here. That's the effect of that. All right? When you're dealing with that, it leads you to Simtuza. Ow. All right? Today, we have another issue that we're dealing with. The issue is COVID. All right? And with COVID, you have to keep everything sanitized. Hands sanitized. You got to wear a mask on your face so not to breathe somebody else's air that may be contaminated, right? You got the mask. Now, going back for a minute with that, you got to be clean to do all that. All right? You got to brush your teeth, make sure your breath is clean, your body's clean, all that. Yesterday, you know, they've been working on me in Portland, as they did in Seattle for 14 years, about you need to do that, and if you don't do that, you're going to get hit for that. I got jumped and beat up once. I think blood came out of my nose in Seattle, Washington, because I didn't do that. I was like, whoa, why so much violence against me? I ended up going to jail for that. I mean, man, you really suffer when you don't know what you're doing in the world when it comes to that issue. So anyway, I took it upon myself and to be the man that I am and to go somewhere and do all of that. And I thought I was doing a good deed because I got my 1085 from SSD, and I thought, you know what? I'm okay now because I'm learning the ropes. I didn't get my master's seminary degree. I got kicked out under Clinton's administration. I'm out here now. MacArthur's whooping me real good. I got pierced in my genital, right? It looks like they were going to put a ring around my genitalia area. Ouch. I got a cut in my crack, right? I guess the person couldn't give it back to me, so they had to give me the pain here and the pain here. When I went in there to file a report, all of the officers turned. I was like, hey, what's up here? It's me. You know, your favorite preacher. What are you guys doing? They all turned. Pointless. The officer that just walked by here a few minutes ago, I told him what was going on just a tiny bit, and I needed to file a police report. But after a while, police reports get redundant. Sermons get redundant. You know, when I woke up this morning in pain, down the street here, Southwest Alder and Southwest 2nd, you know, it's like, man, I got to hurry up and clean up before the bank opens and catches me camping out. Because, you know, when we're in these establishments, we have to have addresses. You got to have an address to go before you open a bank account. You got to have an address before you join the gym. You got to have an address, you know, before you get a storage space. You got to have an address before you get a job. Everything leads back to, and I thought that was the life they were going to give me again. But this time, the second time around, there's no address. What? I've got to do everything that I used to do except for no home address. So what do you tell the bank? What do you tell the storage? What do you tell the gym? The second time, you got to do it the Jesus way. Remember, Jesus was the one who said, the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. No address. He says, go into all the world and make disciples of every nation. Baptize them and teach them to observe all that I commanded you, and lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. When he commissioned the disciples in Matthew chapter 10, guess what he didn't do? He didn't give them an address to specifically go to specific people, right? He says to them, he says this to them. He says, go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, beginning at verse 6. He says, and as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Freely you receive, freely you give. He says, do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belt, or a bag for your journey, or even 2 coats or sandals or a staff, for the worker is worthy of his support. Right? And whatever city or village you enter, inquire who is worthy in it, and stay at his house until you leave that city. As you enter the house, give it your greeting. If the house is worthy, give it your blessing of peace. But if it is not worthy, take back your blessing of peace. Whoever does not receive you, nor heed your words, as you go out of that house or that city, shake the dust off your feet. Truly I say to you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. He says, but beware of men, for they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. And you will even be brought before governors and kings for my sake, as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. But when they hand you over, do not worry about how or what you are to say, for it will be given you in that hour what you are to say. For it is not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. Did you hear an address in there? No. When you enter a village, when you enter a house, if they receive you, and when they hear you speak, it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. It's the Holy Spirit speaking in you to the people that you're sharing the gospel with. And what are you saying to them? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Is the kingdom of heaven at hand right now? Yes. Yes, it is at hand. What are we preaching? Salvation. But we're talking about addresses. You see, the Lord didn't send these people when he sent them out to preach the gospel to a specific address. Nor did they have a specific address themselves. Probably some of them did. Peter had a wife. John and his brother probably went back home to their father's house, Zebedee, or their own home. But when they went out into the world to do the ministry, Did they settle down, rent an apartment? Very seldom. Missionaries, unless they have church's support to go into a hotel or a motel, or they camp out. You see, it's no different in this generation. Just because we have buildings and towers, we've got huge vehicles, it doesn't mean that, or, you know, if we're staying in a city for a specific amount of time, yes. But what comes with it is what? Persecution. Their response is to do what? When you sit in a city for too long of a period of time, right? The warning is, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So you have to be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. He says, but beware of men, for they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. And you will even be brought before governors and kings for my sake as a testimony to them, to the Gentiles. So when you go do the work of the ministry, unbelievers are going to turn against you. If you're living in an address, like ours at Gretchen Kafori Commons, they will come into your home and persecute you. They will cut you, they will pierce you, they will rape you, they will sabotage your property, and then when you try to take it to court, you lose.